Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are looking at the Jada Street Fighter Dhalsim figure, a figure that I was very, very excited about. There's a few Street Fighter characters that I played the most as a kid. Dhalsim is one. I've said it before. Blanca is one of the others. Guile, E Honda. Those are sort of the four that I'm most excited about. So I was really, really excited to get Dhalsim. And I don't think he disappoints. Just sort of first impressions, initial thoughts, picking up the package. I think this guy is an absolute winner. Let's take a look at the box before we get him unpacked. So we get this, video game console, arcade console looking package, and they look fantastic. I like that they keep it simple. There's nothing crazy as far as, different art or different concepts or anything like that on any of these figures. They're all effectively the same box with a couple, details that are specific to the figure, which is nice. Like it for me, it's not really about the packaging. It's not about the box. So it's about the toy, and they really seem to be focusing on the toys themselves. So, in that respect, good on them for not, spending too much time and money on the packaging, in my opinion. So we get Dhalsim on the bottom there. Now, I believe these are all from the Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers, which is a video game that came out on multiple platforms a few years ago. So that's sort of the reference material that they're using for these, which is great. They have better, probably better graphics for all the characters, which makes sense because, these figures aren't pixelated. So the shape of the box matches that arcade console look, which I like. On the back, we get Dhalsim, and then we get, all of the other characters that Jada is saying that they're doing in the line. A lot of which we've seen. A lot of them we've seen, and I'm curious to see as they roll out more of the figures, if they announce, another version of Street Fighter that sort of expands some of the characters. Will the line be done once they finish, all these characters? There's not many, left that we haven't at least seen. Like, is there any that we haven't seen yet? I'm just trying to think. E Honda, I don't think I've seen. So there's a couple left, but there's not much left. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of curious. We get the console on the other side as well, but then they put these little tidbits, and I found this fascinating. So country of origin, of course, is India. Fighting style, yoga? Now, I have to admit, I thought to myself, okay, well, there are, martial arts that sort of, Tai Chi is technically a martial art. It's not really used for that now. I thought, well, maybe that's the case with yoga as well. I could not find any source that said that yoga is a form of fighting. But, leave it to Capcom to to sort of do something like that. So, Dhalsim is a yoga fighter. Who knew? Anyway, let's get this guy out of the box. Here is Dhalsim out of the box, and as expected, he looks phenomenal. He's a really, really good figure. As I've sort of come to expect from Jada Toys, this Street Fighter line is absolutely killing it, and the sculpting is great. The paint apps, for what they're worth, are great. What they're doing with like washes and stuff is really, really impressive. This might be the worst paint job I've had on a Street Fighter figure. This cuff is a little scruffy right at the edge. But it doesn't really bother me. I mean, everything else looks really, really good. And the detail and, what they're doing with everything else on this is really, really cool, really well done. And I'm very, very happy with this. There's so many cool little details on this guy. The rings, or sorry, the ring, not rings, but like the bracelets on his wrists are just floating. They're just, a separate piece, which is really, really cool. Potential to get lost. The necklace is a plastic, it's sort of a soft plastic necklace. The skulls are molded in, so it sits really nicely, and it looks really, really good. His earrings are like metal rings. Like they like went all in on this. Uh, if I may have a little nitpick, it would have been cool if these were metal as well to match the earrings, or if the earrings were the same as the bracelets. But as I said, it's totally a nitpick. I just don't like that they don't quite match perfectly. But I'm not complaining. The fact that they sort of did those details and did them as well as they did, is good. The rope for the belt, the sort of worn out, cut off shorts. The paint app on the head is really, really good and really clean. I got no issues with that whatsoever. So, if I'm gonna have a paint app that I complain about, I think this cuff is probably where I would want it to be. The other thing that I noticed, he's got really big feet. I had to kind of go back to the video game to take a look, and I think that's game accurate. I think in the game he has big feet. That seemed odd when I was taking him out of the package, but doesn't seem odd now that I've looked. His skin looks fantastic. The choice of plastic and then the wash, or sort of however they're getting that effect, I don't know. But, the same with Fei Long. It just looks really good. It really feels elevated from just a plastic toy. And I'm very, very impressed with what Jada is doing, especially at the price point. This thing is just absolutely phenomenal. The articulation is great. You get the butterfly. You've got an elbow that will go, easily more than 90, like almost 180. And the leg is the same. Can he kick his butt? I think that's the test, right? No, he can't. The shorts do get in the way a little bit. I thought the shorts might be a little bit softer material, and then the leg would be underneath. The shorts are just a molded plastic. They're firm, so they don't move out of the way. But you have a joint sort of hidden under there. This is another thing that I've noticed. Where they put joints, so the leg is a good example of this, where they put the joints. So the pant comes down and the pant leg sort of covers where the joint is, so that you get the thigh rotation, but it sort of doesn't change the pants and it doesn't interrupt the sculpt, right? The other point where they put articulation is at the top of the cuff for the ankle rotation, which again does not interrupt the sculpt. It's like really, really well designed, really well engineered in terms of sort of hiding the articulation within the sculpt. He's got a good articulation in the foot as well, with the joint, or the, what am I trying to say? The foot goes up and down, but the foot also goes left to right. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got it. You understand how articulation works. If you're watching this, you understand what I'm talking about, I think. I hope. But anyway, yeah, just an absolutely borderline perfectly executed figure. If it wasn't for that paint app, I would say that this is probably about as good as you can kind of get, for what they're doing here. The figure is fantastic. It's executed incredibly well, but what really sets this guy apart, I think, is the accessories. So let's take a look at the accessories. Starting with the hands, we get these open hands, which are sort of the hands that Dhalsim has in his sort of relaxed pose, pre-strike pose, which is pretty cool. We get an alternate head. We get a awesome screaming head. This has the metal earrings as well. So very, very cool. The paint apps on this are also pretty much flawless, so I'm very, very impressed in that respect. We get a stand. All the Street Fighter figures have come with a little stand. Now, I don't know. I guess it's going to support an arm or a leg or something like that. I will have to sort of experiment with that a little bit. But really, the highlight of this guy is gotta be the arms and the legs that he comes with. So we get these super long extended arms, which is what Dhalsim is known for. His sort of strikes are all, his limbs extending. And these have that bracelet as well. It's the same as what's, on the figure there. The fist is fixed in. It doesn't rotate. It doesn't articulate at all. But that's fine, because the arm is a bendy wire. There's a bendy wire in the arm. There's no articulation. You just get to articulate it manually with the bendy wire, which is really, really cool. I mean, I think most of the time, given how he operates in the game, I think you're probably just going to use them as is and sort of relatively straight. But you can sort of do whatever you want with these arms. So there you go. I mean, it looks really weird when you do that, which is another reason why I don't know that I'm ever gonna like articulate them in a way. But that's the arms. We also, of course, get the legs, nice and long, still with the big feet. And again, no articulation in the ankle, no articulation in the feet. It's just rubbery, bendy, and the bendy wire, so you can get him into whatever pose I think you're gonna want to get him into. But mostly, I think you probably just have him in a kicking pose anyway. But the bendy wire is just a really cool touch. I don't know that I'll ever fully take advantage of the fact that there's a bendy wire in there, because as I said, I think, you know, just in terms of how he operates in the game, I don't remember him ever, you know, bending his arms or legs. But the fact that they give you that option is pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to get this guy posed up. I'm going to swap some of the parts out and give you my final thoughts. Never did I think that an action figure that came with a bunch of extra limbs would be something that I wanted. But Dhalsim's fantastic. I mean, he's balanced. The stand is here, but it took me a minute to get him to balance, and maybe the pose isn't, 100% accurate or whatever, but I'm really pleased with the figure. I'm really pleased that you can pose him this way and balance him. There's probably something about the feet, to do with that. I think giving him a little bit bigger foot probably makes it a little bit easier for him to stand like that. You could absolutely put him on a base. You could absolutely use the stand, though, if you wanted to hit a pose that was a little bit more extreme. But I am very, very satisfied with this figure. I think this is probably going to be in the running for one of my favorite figures of 2024. I definitely think that he's going to be a top 10 figure for sure. He's just that good, and the execution, the accessories, the fact, and I didn't go over this, but the fact that the legs pop in and out as easily as they do, is really important, because I think sometimes you get an accessory like this where there's sort of interchangeability, and they just don't pop in and pop out right, or they're too hard, or they're too easy and they don't stay in place, or what have you. But they've actually designed these really, really well. And I'll just point this out. They've sort of made the peg here like hollow in a way. And so what it does is it actually allows it to sort of squeeze a little bit, I think. And so when you're putting it in, it just pops right in. It's super, super easy, and it's very satisfying to have an action figure that works the way it's supposed to. Anyway, this is an amazing figure. This is, an amazing line. And if you aren't collecting the Jada Street Fighter line, I think you should be. I was a little bit late to the game, but I'm very, very happy to be picking them up now. These figures are all available at eColliectibles.ca. So reach out to Mike and get some of these if you haven't already. If you have already, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, great figure. Strongly recommend you pick up this Dhalsim. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you don't want to miss future videos, hit the bell icon to get notifications. Until next time, bye-bye.